Hey everyone. So in this training here, we're actually going to be going over n8n and MCP and actually going over some of the challenges that you will face when you are installing MCP, specifically on DigitalOcean servers and Docker. Already there's a lot of great videos on how MCP works and how to set it all up. I'm going to go over some of the basics as well and why it's such an important thing. But specifically, we're going to be diving into some of the challenges when installing it. Now, one of the nice things is with the new update for n8n, you don't have to worry about the flag for Docker. And so there's a Docker compose file, and you have to actually put a flag inside of there. In the new update of n8n, you don't have to. And so this video actually shows that, all you have to do is update your actual n8n implementation, and then all you have to do is just set up your, MCP system the way you would, and everything should be up and running. And then I'm going to show you some of the challenges and some of the solutions and how to fix up any of the issues that you might have when setting up your own MCP with n8n. All right, so the first thing is what is this MCP stuff? Why does it even matter, right? So I want to kind of like draw out for you why this is important for a lot of us here, okay? From the developer side, what we had to do was if I wanted to go to some software or service, let's say I want to build something like I need to go to a company called Ticketmaster, which sells tickets to online venues. All right. But I need to search through all their documentation and I want to create an app about that. All right. Or I need to go from here, from Ticketmaster, and I want to go to X and tell my entire community, right? Maybe I'm making an app that will, find the latest tickets that are coming up for some shows and then post it on my X profile. To do that, there are things called APIs. These are literally, trust strings. Okay, I'll explain it in English. It's like, what is this thing? All right, so imagine right now, there's this company here called Ticketmaster, and they don't know who you are. All right, but you're saying, I want to grab information from your website programmatically. All right, through a computer, I want to actually grab this information. So not me as a human being, but some software that I'm writing, some program that I'm writing wants to grab this, data from you that you've got on all these shows, on all these, incredible tickets that you've got. So I have to write a piece of software or program that will go out there and it will connect it. And Ticketmaster says, okay, I will give you a special access known as an API key, all right, or a key that will allow your piece of software, your program, to get my information. Okay, so it builds this trust via this API key that they give to developers to be able to access, this information. All right, well, in order to do that, well, Ticketmaster has their own system for APIs. And they say, okay, we built our own system, and you have to, hop on 2 feet and clap your hands, and we'll give you the data. Okay, I'm just making this up, and so you understand. Okay, so they've got their own version where you have to hop on 2 feet and clap your hands, and there you go, you get the data. In this case, it's the API, and how you use that API. It depends on the programming language. It depends on how they set up their servers and their systems so that you can access their data. That's what I mean by hopping on 2 feet or clapping your hands. They've got a different way of doing that. And then with X, if I want to post this on X, well, if my program wants to do that, well, now it would have to request a different API key and then do something different. All right, maybe it's a different programming language. So over here, it might be like, okay, snap your fingers, and I will give you, access here. And in plain English, what that is from a developer standpoint is this one might be using JSON, this one might be using Java or JavaScript to access that same data. Maybe it's done in a different format. Maybe they use something called curl to give you some access. Like there's so many different things. So I'm going to show you now what that looks like for us as developers from the development side. When we're going in and let's say we want to integrate, Stripe. Stripe has their own API, something called REST, okay? All of these things. And they're like, here you go. Here's this information. This is the curl. This is the information here. You can choose your different languages. There's so many different languages that you can use. So, do it in a different way, and I'll give you access to my data. Here's the Ticketmaster one, for example, right up here. And from Ticketmaster, these are the examples. You got to go through this. You got to do this. We're going to give you an API key, and then these are the endpoints that you use. All right, you go in through this back door here. You go knock on that side. Hop on 2 feet. Rub your belly, whatever it is, and you're gonna get our information. Okay. X has a different one. All right, very similar in idea. You're gonna do this, do that, and boom, you'll get an API key, and you'll get to access our information. All right. So as you can see, it's very, very confusing when we want to start connecting up so many different tools and softwares and systems into our application. Now enter MCP. Okay. What Anthropic did, and Anthropic is the company behind it, they created something called a Model Context Protocol. All right. So MCP, Anthropic. Okay. They said, let's create something that's like a unified thing. All right. And you'll see it here. You can actually just type in Anthropic here. All right. That's the company. It's an AI company. And let's just standardize it. Make it really simple that we can actually, everyone create your own server. You figure out how to do the connections, but tell everybody like this is the way based on the Model Context Protocol. So now I can go to any one of these websites here, and if they've got an MCP server, automatically I know exactly what to do on every single one. And I can do things like, hey, what are the tools that I can use? What's the information? It doesn't matter how they set up their systems. They will, as long as they've got an MCP server, then the MCP server will be the exact same. It will do the exact same stuff. And so you could think of it like a universal translator. All right. Everyone says hello in a different way, but it still means hello. And so that universal translator will do it the exact same thing. It'll take that information and it'll say hello in all the different languages. That's what MCPs are about in an overall thing. So now the beauty of this here is that using the MCP servers, I can automatically connect to X, to Ticketmaster, to Stripe, and so many others. And there's a whole list of MCP servers right now. All right, and you can actually go and check this out. There's on GitHub. There's so many. Let's check out this one here. This one actually is, I think, the main one for MCP, Model Context Protocol. But there's so many different apps, and many more are coming out that have set up an MCP server that you can access now. So imagine the next step is, well, if I've got access to all these servers and now I could talk to them. So if I say, hey, I want information or give me a list of tools or things that I could do on your website, right, through your API, the MCP will send back a list. Here's what you could do on my service. All right. So now I, as a programmer, don't need to program all that. All I have to do is just do one command, which is tell me what you could do. And it'll tell me all the things it could do. Now take it one step further and put it inside of an AI. And that's exactly the key here. When we use n8n and we use the AI nodes, we can literally give it the MCP server. And now all I have to do to the AI is say, all right, order me a ticket on Ticketmaster and then post about this event that's coming up. Or find me the latest 10 events on Ticketmaster on that website. And then let's create a list of those things as a tweet and send it on Twitter in one shot. All right? In one shot. I don't have to go and figure out how to do the API connections and all that other stuff. All I got to do is send a message to my AI, and using the MCP servers, it'll automatically do that for me literally in 30 seconds. All right? It's wild how incredible this is. And as you can see here, here's X. There's two MCP servers. You've got your Ticketmaster one that is right here, for example. All right. So it's all there. And as I said, every day, more servers are coming out. Pretty soon, all the services that are going to be all interconnected. And you can just ask AI to do things. All right. And over here, as you can see, you've got Notion, for example. If you use Notion, imagine having it automatically do stuff on Notion. n8n, of course, we're going to be using that. MySQL, MongoDB. These are more, on the programming side, on development side for databases and stuff. But then you get into other things such as Google Calendar. Imagine just having it connected. You don't have to go into the APIs to say, create a calendar for me, create a certain time or date. No, it does it all just by me asking the AI to do it. It is so powerful. So that gives you kind of an idea of why this is so important for us, in the world of AI and tools and as developers, we don't have to do this anymore by hand and going through all kinds of crazy, documents on the API calls and all this other stuff. I can literally skip all this and just set up the MCP server connection, and now my AI can figure it all out. This is huge because this would take us weeks to figure out. And can you imagine, you're working somewhere and they're like, oh, I need to connect now from Twitter to X, and then because this information is so cool, I want to charge money for it. Let's integrate Stripe, and you're like, oh man, now I have to go through another API. So you can imagine developers were sitting down with so many different API documents across so many different services that it required full-time developers. Now, literally, the AI could do it. Okay, so that gives you an idea of why this is so big and so important, why MCP is something you're hearing everywhere. It's like, oh my goodness, this is huge. That's why it's huge. It literally will save so much time when you do this. And so when you're setting this up, one of the number one challenges when you're setting up MCP is that your n8n server is old. All right, it's not the 1.85 or higher. So we're going to start off with that first, making sure that you can upgrade your n8n. All right, so many times you're running on DigitalOcean. That's what we're working on via Docker container. So we need to upgrade that. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. Next, once you've done that, well, you have to actually go into your community nodes and you set up your community node. And so you're going to get it where your MCP can work as an individual node, but when you want to now attach it as a tool inside of your AI, it breaks. Problem running workflow, unrecognized node type, n8n nodes, MCP client tool. I kept running into this. It was hell on earth for me. And that's because the Docker container was not picking up that I had to put a certain variable inside. And even when I had set up this variable, it just was not connecting. And that was because I didn't have the most latest edition of n8n. All right, so let's get into it now, and let's help you to set up MCP. All right, so here we are, and this is another n8n that I've been using. As you can see here, the version at the bottom left is 1.80.4. All right, so that version is not 1.85, and so it does act up. And you're going to start seeing this, and we're going to have some challenges there. So first thing we want to do is we want to upgrade this thing. However, we are running on a DigitalOcean Docker image. All right, so what does that mean in plain English? Okay, so let's try and figure this out here. All right, so inside of a virtual server or any server that you're running, chances are you're running n8n on some form of Linux system. All right, however, this Linux system, okay, it's usually Ubuntu or whatever you're using. All right, it's probably not going to be n8n running here unless you install it that way. For most people, they're going to be using something like DigitalOcean where they installed it via something called Docker. And so Docker creates what I like to call a virtual machine, even though it's not really a virtual machine, but just for this example, call it a virtual machine. It's like an other computer inside of this computer. All right. And all of its systems and all this stuff runs independently, usually, of the main system. So it's inside of here, and we call this a Docker container. All right. So now your n8n is running inside of this Docker container here. And the challenge here now is that when we're inside of this, well, we want to upgrade your n8n. What we need to do is not upgrade the n8n. We need to upgrade our Docker container, which is outside from outside of the system. So that's what I need to do. So I can't just go right inside of this, even though in some cases we do that. But in this case here, I need to upgrade my Docker container, which is one step outside. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to do the update of the Docker container here at this level, not inside of here. Okay, so I'm going to show you how that works. First thing that we want to do is we want to go into our DigitalOcean. And then in the top right here, you want to click on console. So now when you're inside of here, what you want to do is you want to actually now go to the main root folder wherever your actual implementation of your n8n Docker is. In this case here, more than likely, we're going to do cd ... to get into the main area. There you go. More than likely, it's going to be inside of your OPT folder. So I'm going to type in cd opt, and as you can see, there's my n8n docker caddy file. All right, so I'm going to go right into that. So cd n8n docker caddy. All right, so now I am correctly in the right folder where I've got to be. At this point, we need to upgrade the entire Docker image. To do that, we're going to be using a special command. So that special command is called docker compose pull. Now, if you're not on, the root, account, then you would actually type in sudo, all right, in front of that, okay? But sudo docker compose pull or docker compose pull. When I click on that and I hit enter, it's going to start updating everything, including my n8n installation, all right? This is an important step. You cannot miss this step, all right? So make sure that you do this first. All right, once that's done, we need to now reset our Docker, all right, so that our n8n gets reset. What we're going to write here is docker compose up -d. Now, once again, if you are not in the root account, you're going to type in sudo in front of it. And so I'm going to type in sudo docker compose up -d or docker compose up -d. And I hit enter just like that. And now the new version of n8n should be there. So let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so here we are now. As you can see, this says 1.80.4. If I hit refresh now, and there we go, 1.85.4. Okay, so we have now successfully updated our n8n correctly. Okay, so very, very important. That's the first step when you're about to set up MCP. Okay, make sure you're at 1.85 or higher. All right, there's a lot of bug fixes that came in specifically to help us out with this MCP situation. Now we need to actually set up MCP. So the next thing is we need to click on this Community Nodes tab. So go ahead and click on Community Nodes. And over here, you're going to see Install a Community Node. What we need to do is we need to actually get the GitHub Community Node name. So this is the actual GitHub here. It's by nerding.io. And as you can see here, the actual name is n8n-nodes-mcp. So all I have to do is just copy this here, come back to my n8n, click on Install a Community Node, and paste that in, n8n-nodes-mcp, and then click on I understand the risks, and click Install. Now, as I had said earlier, there's normally a little flag that you have to put into the Docker Compose file. In this case here, because you've updated the n8n, it already has that flag built into the Docker, so it should be all up and running already. So there we go, n8n MCP is now installed. So let's go back into our actual system and let's try and set this up. So inside of an empty file here, what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a chat trigger. There we go. And now what we're going to do is we're going to add an AI agent. All right, there we go. And we're going to connect this up to an actual, chat model. And in this case here, I'm going to use OpenAI as the chat model. GPT-4 is fine. So let's go ahead and do that. And make sure that we're all interconnected there. So all that looks good. Okay, so now we have to actually add an MCP tool. So let's go ahead and click on this section here where it says tool. And what we're going to do is we're going to type in the word MCP. And as you can see, we now have MCP client tool. So there's a lot of different servers, MCP Compass, Airbnb, Playwright. There's so many here. And if I go into the GitHub for all the different MCP servers, as you can see, there's a huge, huge list of things here. So what we're specifically going to be looking for, just for the example here, so you can see it's set up and running, is we're going to be looking for something called MCP Compass. All right, so if you come down here, you're going to see this. And it's literally just there to suggest the right MCP server for your needs. So to set this up, many of the MCP servers usually will have a set of commands and so on. We have to actually add that in. All right, so now what we need to do here is when we go back into MCP client, we want to add a brand new credential here. So we're going to click on create new credential. All right, and if you're using any password system, just click on expression and you could delete whatever's inside of environments there. All right, so we need to get a command, arguments, and also let's rename this here, MCP Compass. All right, and now we have to actually get the command here for that. So if we go back here, you're going to see inside of the MCP Compass, we're going to see the command is npx. We're going to copy that, paste it there. And then the arguments, you've got a -y and then a space, and then this. All right. So let's do that there. So first take your -y, copy that, put it in, put a space, and now put the second part of the command right here, just like that. Copy that and paste it in. That's all you have to do for the credentials. Okay. Now, if you did have like an API key and so on, you could put even more stuff inside of there. But for right now, just so you could see that this is up and running, all I have to do now is say to my chat here, tell me what tools you have. And you notice I even made a spelling mistake on purpose. Let's see what if the AI can pick that up. There we go. So it's looking for it there. All right. It's gone into the MCP server, and it should now come back, list all the tools out, and there it is. Recommend MCP servers. Now you can watch some of the other tutorials that are out there that will take you through the next steps of actually, implementing more advanced MCP items inside of your systems. All right, so there you have it. A little bit more information. The reason was when I was doing this, I was running into so many problems and challenges. So now hopefully you're able to overcome some of those same challenges and get MCP up and running. I recommend checking out some of the other videos that are available on YouTube, and there's a lot of incredible creators. If you are on school, please check out my school page. Check out some of the other great creators as well in AI, and they also have many school pages as well. Join up and learn. Join communities and be part of this exciting, exciting industry that is, AI. So if this helped you out, please do go ahead, join my school page there. I'd love to have you in the community. We're constantly growing. We're trying to connect as many, AI automation professionals together and people who are curious about this. We would love to have you in our community to learn, to grow, to do more incredible things with AI. Please don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.